Hello, welcome again to our fourth Children Literature Symposium. I'm Asude, a senior student at psychology, and I will be the moderator of this session. We listened for great presentations about the topics like grief, death, disability, and feminism. We thank our friends for nice presentations. Now, in this session, we have three friends. Each will present different topics in 20 minutes. Our first speaker, Esma, will present about emotions, a focus on the theme of wonder. Now we are listening to Esma.
Thank you so much, Asude. Hello, everyone. I am Esma. I'm a fourth-year comparative literature student. I chose to talk about expressing emotions in children's literature. Let me share my screen first. Okay. Of course, we always talk about different themes and feelings that are mentioned in children's books, but I especially want to focus on expressing part. I want to talk about my experience first. I've been a good reader since my childhood, but still had problems about identifying my feelings and talking about them. Then when I realized that if it wasn't for the books that touched me deeply, I wouldn't be able to talk about them at all. And this is the reason why I chose this topic. I especially want to talk about the theme of wonder in children's literature because I believe it's the starting point of every discovery and every awakening. And I'm going to talk about the book called The Heart and the Bottle, which is written by Oliver Jeffers, that shows this idea very beautifully. Along my research, I made use of two main studies that helped me find a better perspective. I am going to talk about them as well. And the first one is, yes, why is it not moving? Okay, Dr. Teresa Bowley's study. She's a professor of early literacy at Eastern Connecticut State University. She thinks that children's literature can be a powerful tool for supporting their social and emotional development. And the reason for that is books provide children with the language to name their feelings. They also give children the opportunity to talk about feelings and emotions during periods when they're calm. And how does that happen? It happens through the conversation they have with a parent or a teacher or anyone who is introducing a book to them. When parents or teachers show a children's book that deals with a situation or a sticky situation or a problem or something that would typically happen that these children could have experience with, like sharing a toy or having to wait for their turn, they engage in conversation. And what is unique in this study, they're talking about someone else's story, like talking about a situation in a book doesn't make it about them, about who is having an issue or who is at fault, but it's just about the emotion or feeling that the characters in a book experiencing. In her study, Dr. Teresa makes a teacher read a book for a specific age group experience. In second kindergarten classroom, the teacher reads the book you see here. When Sophie gets angry, really angry. And when Sophie gets angry in the book, she gets angry because she has to share a toy with her little sibling. And when her mother says she needs to share the toy, she turns around and trips on a truck. And it's a good book to talk about anger. And before reading, you can talk to kids like, what do you think the story is going to be about? Or Sophie gets angry. What do you think are some things that could make Sophie angry? What makes you angry? And this allows children to talk about things happen in their lives that make them angry or sad or curious. And then post-reading, it becomes really important for children to have opportunities to talk about the text or to talk about how they connected to the text and what their experiences are in relation to the characters' experiences. It's really important during that time to ask children like open-ended questions about like how they connected to the character or the theme or the problem or the resolution to the problem in this particular story. And they ask them things like, if you were the character, what would you do? Like, how would you feel and how would you react? And after that conversation, They do things like use a chart paper to write down like all the ways they would handle a similar situation. And they post those notes around the classroom so that they can refer to those at later times, like when there are things that come up about handling their feelings. And I want to show you another book that is mainly about feelings. It's called What Feelings Do When No One Is Looking. It's a picture book, and it explores feelings like joy and anger, nostalgia and compassion. It has a very interesting theme. I think it's because it allows children to identify emotions. What does sadness do when no one is looking? What does anger do? I have some examples here. Anger explodes. Pride sits tall in a tower at the summit of a crystal mountain. Happiness zips into the air in a soap bubble. It's a very good book to conduct what Dr. Teresa suggested. It allows children to talk about what they think about feelings and what they would do when they were alone, as if they had lived like us. It's able to open like discussions you might have like with children, because feelings become beings in this book, and their actions are the physical representation of the emotion and of the things that we feel. Each one has their own personalities and actions in the book, and it gives the message that they are familiar to you. They are like you. They exist, and each does something different. And the important thing for me is it gives the idea that our feelings are living things that need our attention, but they're not uncontrollable. They're not dangerous. So you're not angry. You might feel anger. You're not labeling yourself with it, but you're just admitting that they exist and you can experience them. And finally, it makes it easier to know how to handle them. I want to talk about one more study. It's titled An Examination of Readers' Responses to Illustrated Children's Books, which include different emotional states. In this study, the question is, what are the reactions of child readers to children's picture books, which demonstrate different emotional states? In this study, Rosenblatt's reading response theory was used, and he emphasized that the construction of meaning of a book is not only based on the text or the reader, but that a transformation in meaning that occurs due to the relationship the author and the reader has, it emerges during reading, and it's called transformational reading. And in this theory, the reactions of readers lead to the emergence of new meanings, as I said. From this point of view, they asked second grade students questions about different books in this story. Like they have different aims, that's why the questions differ based on what they look for. For example, for the aesthetic part, they ask, how did this book make you feel? For the experiential part, they say are there things in this book that reminds you of something about your own life or someone you know? Or to make it open to interpretation, they say, what messages or meanings does this book have for you? And finally, they ask, if you were one of the characters in the book, what would you want to do? How would you feel in such a situation? For a better analysis, they also ask, how did the protagonist's feeling change after the problem was solved? At the end of the study, they find that the emotions that was intended to be shown in the books are similar or almost the same with the answers of the students. It is understood that the kids are actually successful in identifying the emotions processed in the books, and they understand the context and the emotional states in the book with the help of maybe their own experiences, and they can emphasize with the characters. And so they become aware of what happens in the book and what the characters represent, and they relate to them and make sense of the emotions they feel, and they bring something new to the study. Like they tell us how they would solve such a situation, and it helps them understand how to handle their emotions better. And finally, I want to focus on the theme of wonder. It revolves around the sense of curiosity, awe, and amazement that children experience when encountering new ideas, places, or experiences that might be as well through books. I think the important thing about this theme is that how it encourages children to be more curious about the world. Let me tell you how we see it in books briefly. You know how children's books often have protagonists who go on adventures. It might be for exploring a magical world, like solving mysteries or discovering new places. And this sense of wonder drives the narrative forward and makes us engage with the story. And it like fosters our sense of like thinking about the unknown. And because they take us to an imaginative world where anything is possible. And these settings and wondrous actions of the characters allow us to know like beyond our world and stimulate our imagination and creativity. But I especially like the stories that have familiar settings that we have. The ones that talk about the wonder found in everyday experiences, the kind that we all, as humans can also experience. It might be the joy of friendship or the excitement of learning something new or looking at a map for to see like other countries that you don't know anything about, or the magic like of ordinary moments, the things that you can find and be amazed of in everyday life. I think like they're able to tell us the beauty and joy in our own surroundings. That's why they're so valuable. And they also help us to use them, as Dr. Teresa tells us, and to make children express themselves. Finally, I will, sorry. It's not going. Okay, I will introduce you to the book that made me talk about this topic. I really like this story, The Heart and the Bottle. If you read this before, you would think it's mainly about grieving, but I love how it tells the story of wondrous girl who goes through a difficult phase. I am deliberately using the word phase for the thing she goes through. Okay, it affects her deeply, but I think it's something temporary. I don't think it needs to define her. And let me show you the book because I couldn't open the slides. This is the book, The Heart and the Bottle. And it starts like, once there was a girl, much like any other. So she's an ordinary person like us. Like we can experience the things she experiences. But what is unique about this girl? There was this ordinary girl, much like any other, whose head was filled with all the curiosities of the world. She keeps asking about everything in the world, like about the sea or about the stars. She shares her curiosity with her grandfather and asks him all of her questions. She loves to keep finding new things, and she loves to like talk about them. But one day, she finds an empty chair, which implies that she lost her grandfather. She's like badly shaken as a result of losing someone she really loves, and she retreats into herself. And as she gets older, um, she stops noticing the stars and the sea and other wondrous things that once she was amazed by. And she forgets all the delights she previously found in wonder. And she puts her heart in a bottle, but like she puts it away so it can never be hurt again. This doesn't make her life easier, but once she loses her wonder and amazement, she can't help it. And then when she was old enough, she meets another girl who is also filled with the curiosities of the world. And when she hears the girl's questions, she remembers that she is actually able to answer her questions, but she can't because her heart is still in the bottle. She tries to break it, but she can't. She tries all the ways, but finally, she asks the little girl for help. And the little girl helps her remove that heart from the bottle because she has wonder. She is curious. She can do that. And it is mainly because she experiences the same feeling of wonder, and she remembers her own amazement and wonder for the world that she shared with her grandfather, and it becomes the hope for the girl to take her heart out of the bottle and start feeling again. And the story ends here, but it's very important for me, and it touches me every time I encounter with it. And I can say that books fostered the feeling of wonder for more, like they made me try more, ask more, and find new stuff more and more. And I just hope all children can be introduced to the books that will give them hope about many experiences of the world. Thank you so much for listening to me. That was all.
Thank you, Esma. Esma presented us the literature to help children manage strong emotions and how the theme of wonder presented in children's literature. We thank Esma for enlightening us about the strong emotions and wonder. Our second speaker is Abdul Muhaimin. He will present the topic of the transformative power of children's literature, nurturing mental growth and development. Now we are hearing him.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are you all? Hoping you are having a great symposium with us. So today, and proving to my friends whatever they have told about children's literature, I will reprove them and talk about the importance of children's literature under the topic of nurturing mental growth and development. So first of all, I have my simulation. Firstly, I will talk about the introduction. My introduction will be before the growth and development, then the conclusion. Then I will final my presentation with you. So first of all, our journey will begin under convincing the importance of the children's literature. For example, we will talk about how important it's for the children's psychology and mental growth, also how it's important for their development, creativity, language, and making sense, and also communication. So everything is scientifically proved, and under the proof we will talk. Yeah. For example, I will start with the scientific view. The doctors and psychology doctors, neurological doctors have seen that the children, when they are waving their eyes or hearing stories regarding the children, so there is a new created brain cells in their brain. So these brain cells increases their imagination and criticizing skills. So we will have a growing child with being developed with a lot of imagination and close to be adults. Then I will talk also about the cognitive skills, the plot story, or the way the stories are told puts the child under the umbrella of the character he is reading about. So, for example, if we are talking about the death, so the child will imagine himself will imagine himself rather than the character itself. So his skills on belonging, like he will consider the story as belonging to his life. So he will be able to criticize the life, criticize the story, and put himself under other people's umbrella. Also, I will talk about the language and communication. So the language, it's scientifically proven that when the children are reading and when new words are lighted to them, So they are gaining and improving their dictionary, like thinking dictionary, criticizing dictionary. So when they express, they will be able to express themselves in a better way. So in this situation, their communication skills also will be improved. So we will have a more mature children and also a more imaginative children, because if we want to imagine something, we have to know the right words or the right concepts that leads us to just sail in our imagination. Also, I will talk about the love of learning. So if you consider the child from his first years and you are giving him a new knowledge and knowledge of practicing other characters' life, so he will start to like being on someone else's life. For example, I'm talking about the characters he is reading about, and I'm one of those people. For example, I was like, my family used to read for me the Alice in the Wonderland, and I was putting myself on Alice's rule. So the curiosity grown with me, and also I wanted to explore everything in the world. So the child, like to go to the main topic, the child itself, when he is considered to be learning, when he considered to be getting a whole of new knowledge with emotion, of course, because if he is like putting himself under the umbrella of the character, so there is something psychological obvious. So the point is here, and making the long story short, is the child will imitate and belong the umbrella, like gets the umbrella of learning in his life till the end, because he already got the benefit of learning and the psychology, the pleasure of learning. So in this way, we can say that the children literature has several aspects that affects the children and children's brain when they are children, when they are like in a young age. So now I will finish. Yeah, I will finish my presentation here. Thank you for watching, and hope you a great future for your children.
Abdulmumin presented us how children's literature nurtured children's mental health. We thank him for emphasizing the importance of children's literature. Our third and last presenter is Kübra, and she will talk about children's literature and bibliotherapy, nurturing resilience in the face of childhood anxiety. Now we are listening to her.
Thank you, Asude. Welcome to our symposium again. I'm Nur Kübra, as a first grader of psychology department. Today, as a psychology traveler, actually, in my presentation, I will focus on bibliotherapy while examining 3 children books, which can be used for children anxiety. So let's start. Okay. Yes, it's obvious that it's important to comprehend the complex nature of childhood anxiety before exploring the therapeutic possibilities of children literature and bibliotherapy, of course. And we can say that children face a variety of stressors, such as expectations from their families, social pressures, and educational obligations. Also, according to estimates, 13% of children between ages of 9 to 17 experience all forms of anxiety disorders. I mean, even before 17. And also, there are several ways that anxiety can appear, and understanding these ways is crucial to effectively developing bibliotherapeutic interventions. Children's books have a special power to captivate young brains by providing a secure environment for emotional development, actually. And bibliotherapy uses books as teaching interventions in the classroom after careful matching between students and books chosen to facilitate development and achievement. So, what is bibliotherapy? The deliberate use of literature to promote people's emotional and psychological well-being is known as bibliotherapy. When applied to childhood anxiety, bibliotherapy takes on the form of a guided process that helps kids understand and control their emotions through the use of well-selected books. And the concepts of bibliotherapy are examined in this section, along with how it can be used to help young readers who are anxious. And bibliotherapy begins when the reader recognizes the dynamic relationship that exists between the story and his or her personality. From there, the process moves through 3 stages. The first one is reflection and identification. Second is catharsis. And the third one is gaining insight and integration. Books can be therapeutic and beneficial to people at the same time. And literature gives us new perspectives on the things that happen to us, allowing us to view them from various angles. It cures a lot of our internal wounds, and through reading, we are exposed to a wide range of experiences that we wouldn't otherwise be able to hear about or experience, and we are able to learn new things. And let's look at our books. And the first book I discussed in my article is Ayize, which is a children's book written by Zeynep Rüzgar Arık and also illustrated by Ahmet Erözenci. The book deals with the emotional experiences of BRZ and the process of coping with these experiences. BRZ's character encounters a variety of emotional situations that help children understand their emotional development and cope with these emotions also. And the emotional fluctuations experienced by BRZ are associated with emotional uncertainty. That's why the book guides children in understanding that their emotional states can change over time and how to cope with these changes. He continues this process by focusing on leaves that fall in autumn. And through this journey, children learn the importance of expressing and understanding their emotions also. The book helps children develop emotional intelligence and empathy. In summary, the book BRZ contributes to the emotional development of children while also providing them with the opportunity to understand emotional experiences and develop coping skills. And the book gently deals with anxiety-provoking themes and transporting children into an emotionally supportive story. And to give more details, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best lessons given to us here is that sometimes types of anxiety can be very unusual, and this can be understood also. The author who wrote the book in a humorous language also added 2 nice activities at the end of the book. And in the first one, he asks them to write their own concerns. It can be anything that bothers them on the leaves flowing in the water. And then he asks children to draw the leaves they see around him and paint them as they wishes. The main emphasis here is obviously that we first become aware of our concerns and then we shape and characterize our concerns ourselves. And the second book is my favorite book, The Emptiness by Anna Linares. The Emptiness, as you know, is a children's book that focuses on emotional difficulties and the feeling of emptiness. Unlike other books, this book uses metaphorical language to describe emotional experiences, and by depicting emptiness as a concrete entity, it offers children a new perspective to better understand emotional states. And why this book is necessary for bibliotherapy is the book offers children a metaphorical language to express their feelings of emptiness and helps them recognize and communicate their feelings. Also, as a detail, at the beginning of the book, while the void seems large enough to contain huge buildings, our main character looks at this size with fearful eyes. However, at the end of the book, although there is a gap large enough to cover a huge ship, our character watches this gap happily and excitedly. And let's see our third book, A Shelter for Sadness. In our third book, sadness or anxiety appears as a character. With this approach, the author aims to embrace sadness by looking at it from a much different perspective and adapting it as a character. Additionally, A Shelter for Sadness emphasizes the idea that sadness can pass over time and it's a natural part of healing process. So this can help children understand that their emotional difficulties are temporary. And also, it's known that when we feel sad about any issue, the most common advice is to experience our sadness as much as possible. Because as the author states in his short notes, if we do not give our sadness all the space and shelter it deserves, people will not endure it honestly, and the sadness that covers the whole world will never end. Finally, although for the majority of the book, everything outside the shelter is filled with dark colors as a detail and shadows, the inside of the shelter is decorated with warmer colors and individual customized objects such as pictures, photographs, decorations that seem to have been drawn by the character. And it's aiming to strengthen our love for our inner self, actually. And yes, by examining these sample books, we gain an understanding of how literature serves a therapeutic tool for dealing with anxiety in children. Each book offers a unique perspective and approach to supporting the emotional health of young readers. Looking ahead should focus on the evolution of childhood anxiety and how bibliotherapy might adapt. In summary, bibliotherapy in conjunction with children's literature proves to be a powerful tool for fostering resilience in the face of childhood anxiety. And by using bibliotherapy, the individual is enabled to see the fact that the problem he is experiencing is not just a problem he has experienced, but also many people are experiencing similar problems. And analysis of model books, including Ayeze, The Emptiness, and Shelter for Sadness, indicates the variety of ways that writers solve young readers' anxiety. And the potential for bibliotherapy to improve the lives of anxious children is still a compelling area for research and practice as we delve deeper into the complex relationships between children's literature and mental health. And that's all. Thank you for listening to me.
Kübra presented us how children's literature help us with anxiety. We thank Kübra for dealing with a strong emotion, which is anxiety. Throughout the symposium, we discussed children's literature through different topics such as grief, death, feminism, disability, mental health, anxiety, curiosity. And now we thank our friends to present us these essential issues. And also, we thank you for being with us today and participating in our symposium. For us, it was an unforgettable and pleasant experience to talk about children's literature. We hope that you also had fun and explored how beautiful the depth of children's literature through different topics is. We will be happy to see you in our next events. Have a nice day with children's literature. If you have any questions, please comment. We will be happy to answer them.